Hello Minecrafters, Arctic Shark Games here, coming at you with another Minecraft Bedrock Edition command tutorial. Today's tutorial is going to be on structure blocks and saving and loading structures in Minecraft Bedrock Edition. This tutorial takes place on 1.20 and I expect it should continue to work beyond that. So the first step here, we're going to go ahead and give ourselves a structure block. Structure blocks are a OP item. They do not pop up in the creative menu, so you can't search for them. So we're going to have cheats on, and we're going to have to give ourselves a structure block. So in the chat here, we're going to go ahead and type in /give at self structure block, and then we're going to hit enter, and then we're going to receive one structure block. Now if you guys look real quick at these two structure blocks that I've placed down in the world here, this one here is on save mode and this one is on load mode. Those are the two most common textures for the structure block when they're in their modes, and there is one third mode we're going to cover today as well, which is corner mode, and that one looks like this. So we're going to go over all three types of structure blocks today. You guys can see out here in the distance we have a few different random baby enderman guys. I don't want to take any credit here. One of my members actually made this statue, and we're going to go ahead and mess around with saving that structure today as our example. Now structure blocks can also be acquired by pick blocking, so if you look at the block and you pick block or advanced pick block, you can actually get the structure block in your hand as well, or you can copy it with its information inside of it, which you can see this one actually has a name. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, I will post a link here in the description, as well as I'll throw a link up on the top of the screen here, and that will be to the advanced pick block video. And if you guys are sitting here hoping to go for structure blocks in between worlds, that's something that only works on PC. It won't work for you console players, and I will do a separate video on that, which I also will link up in the description as well as on the top of the screen. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into the basics of a structure block. Let's open up the structure block menu as a starter. So you can see that we here are in save mode, and you can click this little toggle here to actually switch through the different modes. And they actually have three main modes, and they've added a new mode here, 3D export, which we will not be going over in this video. We're going to go over the three basic modes here. So we're starting off in save mode, and we have an area here which is for structure names, and that would be how you decide what your structure name is. You have to keep track of your structure names in the world, as the structure name is the only way that you can ever find this structure again or load it. You can't list them, you can't search them. The only way to do it is to keep track of them yourself. And then here we have a size and an offset, and that is going to be what determines the different size of the structure. So if we toggle this switch here, this boundary box, you can see that these lines appear out floating in the world, and we can toggle that off. Way down the bottom is the boundary box. So these dimensions are going to affect the size of the boundary box. This next button here, detect, is going to be something that we're going to cover in the middle of the video, and that is for corner mode. Include entities means if we had a entity, which a little slime is walking by here actually, he's going to go ahead and hop into our structure block conveniently enough, or he's going to stop right in the edge. But in any case, let's put a slime inside of here, and you can see that this guy actually is appearing inside of there. If we toggle include entities on and off, it will not save mobs that are inside of our structure. And then the same thing could be said for this remove blocks one. We can save just entities, and we can load just entities with no blocks. Now that we have a bunch of slime blocks clopping around here making noise for us, we have a redstone save mode. So there's two different save modes. Save in memory is a quicker save, and that's the most common one. That is supposedly not a permanent way to save. Save to disk is going to save it, according to Mojang, for multiple play sessions. So save to disk is a little slower, and that is the more permanent way to save. And when you toggle this switch, redstone save mode, what that means is when you actually power this up with redstone, that's going to be the way that it will save it by default. Alright, so that's the basics of the save menu. Let's actually go over here with this save mode structure block and practice saving this enderman right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our block over here in this corner here. And Actually, I'm going to put it maybe right there instead. And you can see we've got ourselves this little boundary box, which is totally not accurate to the Enderman. So we're going to go ahead and adjust that now. We're going to go ahead and put an offset so we can start off at the Enderman's feet. So I offsetted the Y level by 1, so that put this on top of the structure block. And now I totally don't have the right size here, so we're going to go ahead and change the size by a couple. Or actually, I think I'm going to offset it over by 2 more. So we got to offset it on the red. So you notice that this red line, and then the X is red, and then there's a green line, the Y is green, there's a blue line, and the Z is blue. So that's how I have an idea of which way to offset it in the world. So we're going to go ahead and offset this Z so we can get over closer to the edge of the leg here. So now you can see I'm 1 closer, or I'm 2 closer rather, and then we're going to go ahead and offset the the X rather as well. So now we're getting ourselves a little bit closer to the corner of this guy's legs, and it needs to be way taller than this. So we're gonna go ahead and put this height up to, let's see, 20 blocks. Oh, yep, and that's actually exactly how tall the Enderman is. So now we can start to see that we're getting most of the Enderman inside of our structure block, but obviously it's not the entire Enderman. So let's go ahead and back off a little bit there and try to get ourselves a little bit larger on this direction. And we're gonna go ahead and just keep increasing the size here until we find ourselves pretty close to the size that the Enderman is. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing in this direction, and you can always jump out to make sure that you're doing the right thing here as well. And we're going to go ahead and put this thing like maybe about 9, and we're going to offset this maybe about 1, it looks like. And then once you get your boundary box to where you want it, we're going to go ahead and hit save. But let's see, I think I got to make one more adjustment. Yep, if I go ahead and make the X1 smaller, it looks like. Looks like now we've accurately grabbed that Enderman. The entire Enderman shows up here. So now we're going to go ahead and name him. And I think I'm going to name him Baby Enderman. Alright, and then we're going to hit save. And then you can see if we go over to another structure block a little bit further away, we'll go ahead and hit this into load mode now. And we use the same exact name, and capital letters do matter. Baby Enderman. You can see that it will change the boundary box to be larger, so you know that it most likely is actually the correct name. And if the name is correct, or at least is loading a structure that does exist, the words will be white here in the structure name, whereas they will not be white and bright like this if you're naming the structure wrong. So I'm going to go ahead and change the offset to 0, and now I like how this looks here, so we're going to hit load. And now that I've hit load, you can see that we loaded the Enderman right next to his friend here, and he looks to be intact and correct. Alright, so now let's open this structure block menu back up one more time. I want to more in-depth go over the load mode. So now we had that name section obviously as well, and then we had the offset section, which is going to go ahead and put the offset away from the structure block wherever we wanted to load it. So if we wanted to load one way up there and hide our structure block, we certainly could. And then we got the include entities toggle, just like before. We have a waterlog blocks toggle, whether or not we can waterlog blocks, and we have a remove blocks toggle as well, which will allow blocks to be placed or just entities to be placed. And then as well here we have a few different settings here. I don't personally use the integrity and seed settings. I'm not sure what those ones do, to be honest with you, but I do have some recommendations here for you for some of the other settings. So let's go ahead and grab this Enderman guy here, and you can see that we're standing over here and the Enderman is facing away from us. So if that was a problem for us, you can go ahead and mess around with the load mode rotation. So you can see we have a rotation here, and right now we have our little colored lines over in this corner, and you can tell that this is the way that this guy is facing. He has the red on his back, and he has the little block that he's holding up there is up front. So we're going to need to flip this around 180 degrees if we wanted the Enderman to be facing us. If we were to flip this around 90 degrees, the Enderman would face this way, 180 degrees this way, 270 degrees he'll face over this way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to switch that rotation there, and we're going to switch it over 2 times to go to 180. And then this here is a mirror mode. And what that means is it would actually reverse the X coordinate or the Z coordinate, but we're not going to do that for this particular load. And then there's an animation mode, which if you guys are actually loading these structures where players are going to view them when they come in to load, you can actually make the loading look fancy, and you can place it layer by layer, or you can place it block by block. So we're going to go ahead and do block by block, and we're going to go ahead and choose an amount of time for this to take. We're going to choose, I don't know, 10 seconds, let's say. And then we're going to go ahead and load this, and he should hopefully be facing us and do a fancy animation. So now you can see that the Enderman is being built right in front of our eyes, and his dirt block is on our side, and look at him, he looks so happy right there being loaded. So you can actually do some fancy load modes as well. And then that third mode that I promised you guys I was going to go over there is actually corner mode. When it switches to this texture, it's in corner mode. So we're going to go back over to the original Enderman here, and we're going to go ahead and try to do this on corner mode. So we're going to grab ourselves a structure block, and we're going to go to each opposite corner of the actual Enderman. So we can cheat a little bit because we did this structure a minute ago, and we know that this is one of the corners. This is the bottom corner for the Enderman over in this side. So we're going to go ahead and change this to corner mode, and we're going to name it Baby Enderman, all lowercase, just like we did before. And then we're going to grab another structure block, and we're going to fly up to the complete opposite corner. So one way that I like to do that is I like to just go up to the top, and then we go and build ourselves out a straight line until we know that we are exactly in the opposite corner. So we can go ahead and go up this high. It looks like it would be a good spot right there is actually how I'm going to do it. So right there, we're going to put this into corner mode, which actually I believe we're going to have to go one higher to be accurate. We're going to put that in corner mode. Get rid of our specialty blocks there, and then we're going to put another structure block in the position we'd actually like to place it down when it loads. So I'm going to put it kind of like almost in the center of the Enderman, and I'm going to put it right out past its dirt block like this, and we're going to put this one to save mode. So now we've named both corners Baby Enderman, all undercase, and we've also named this structure the same thing, Baby Enderman undercase, and then we're going to go ahead and detect it. Once you hit detect, you should start to see most of the Enderman appear. So now it looks like I didn't grab all of his right arm. I was off by one block. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to place a block of wool, and we're going to go ahead and move this over one because I was inaccurate. So we're going to go like that, and we're going to make sure it's named Baby Enderman. And then we're going to grab this block again, and we're going to replace it because it should be placed down third. We're going to hit detect, and now you can see that his whole arm is there and everything's looking good. So we're going to go ahead and resave the structure, and we're going to grab this one, the structure, and we're going to put it about in the same position relative to where we want that Enderman. Of course, we could always offset it, but we're going to put it like that, and we're going to put it in load mode. And then we're going to make sure we show that boundary box so we can see if we like how it is. And then, now the box you can see is in about the same position relative to where I put that third block down when I was over there doing the corner mode. So that's actually in front of the structure now. And we're going to load the structure, and it should load, all perfectly facing us. And why don't we go ahead and do by layer so we can show that animation mode all at the same time. So we'll do a 10-second by layer animation, and we'll hit load, and now you can see that it is going layer by layer, and it's going to go ahead and build that Enderman for us. And we used corner mode to save that one there as well. So now if you stick around for a minute, we will go ahead and go over a little bit of the changes you can do when you if you load blocks in with Redstone, as well as we're going to go ahead and go over the additional block that Minecraft gives us, which is actually called a structure void. So real quick, we're going to go into the chat here, and we're going to give ourselves a structure void block, and it is this funky little invisible block. It's got red lines there, and if you put that block down, you can't view it unless you're holding it. So it acts sort of like the barrier blocks and stuff like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and check out the structure void here for a second. We have this block here is set up on save mode, and this block here is set up on load mode, just like normal. And then I'm going to go ahead and save this Enderman baby. Now we've actually changed the name to Ender Baby. And for this example here, we're going to go ahead and save it. And you can see that I actually have 4 of these little structure void blocks here. So we're going to go ahead and hit save with the structure void. And then we're going to go ahead and put a bunch of blocks down, just like this, and whichever positions I chose with the structure void, when you go to your new location, it'll actually keep the old blocks. So all these blocks here that don't have a structure void are technically air blocks, and they will erase anything that's in their way, or the wool blocks and stuff like that, they will erase other blocks because they're solid blocks. But if you put a structure void, it will ignore blocks, so you can actually like smash builds together, so to speak, and load a structure into an existing structure. So you can see now that the 4 blocks that got kept are those 4 wool blocks that I put down where the structure void was. So my existing build was kept, and we loaded this structure around them. That is the main use for structure voids. Another interesting use for structure voids that at least I've found in the vanilla world is if you wanted to make like water columns that or liquid columns that don't have any solid blocks on the side and they sort of just appear like they're floating, you can actually trap liquids inside of the structure voids. Go up one higher, and you can make it look like water is just sort of breaking the laws of Minecraft there, because there already is a block occupied, so that water is actually not able to flow into the structure blocks, or the structure void blocks, if you place them around it. Now let's go ahead and get rid of that water in our way here, and we're going to go ahead and mess with some redstone on these structure blocks. So why don't we go ahead and grab some dirt blocks here, and we're just going to completely change this build. Now you can see that I've actually put some dirt in between this Enderman's leg, and we're going to go ahead and grab something random. We'll use one of my custom blocks here. We're just going to put some water blocks under here and underneath his legs and stuff, and we're just doing weird stuff to this Enderman. And we're going to go ahead, and this one is set up on save mode, and I have it saved to memory in all the settings I want it in. And when we power that one with redstone, it'll actually automatically save the structure, the new structure name. So under that same name, we're just going to go ahead and save it. And then this one here is set up in load mode, and we can go ahead and load that exact same structure that we just saved automatically as well. So now we hit load mode, and all those weird changes that I made to the Enderman were saved. If we were to make another change, we put some redstone blocks up there, and we go ahead and resave it. And then we can go ahead and reload it right here, and now the redstone blocks are there as well. So structure blocks are affected by redstone, and they are pretty cool, the things that you can do with a structure block with redstone. So the last couple of sections that I did not cover inside of the structure block, once again, are going to be the import and export, and those sections there are going to be covered in the next video, which I will have the link for in the description. These last button here that we have when we're on save mode is reset, and that just goes ahead and it resets the save of Ender Baby so that you can go ahead and resave it. So that's a pretty simple button there. And then on the load mode, you have that import button rather than the export button, which I will go over in that future video as well. If you guys found this video helpful as an explanation to structure blocks, you guys should go ahead and check out the channel here. I do mostly command tutorials as well as a few live streams here in Minecraft Bedrock. If you guys have any questions on structure blocks or command blocks in general, or if you're stuck trying to do the import export between worlds, go ahead and jump into the Shark Commander's Discord, which I'll throw a link in the description, and maybe we can help you out with that, and keep on commanding.